Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
We're all set up here down this creek bottom. Bean Buck's been in here a bunch of times, so good chance to see it on him.
Meh. Smoked him. I think he just crashed, bro. Absolute money, dude. It's 76 degrees out. We just set up 80 yards from a buck and killed him at 18 yards.
Here we are. We're set up on this creek that's been absolute fire for the last 8 days. We know a shooter went in here to bed this morning.
Meh.
Smoked his ass tonight.
Get it? That was at 8, dude. That's at 8.
Bucked out October 28th. Homie's up for the rest of November. But absolute incredible season. Both kills on hanging hunts, right on the beds, and just making it happen.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes, episode 10, 10 days, coming in your ear holes every single day. Are your ear holes full yet, or do you have room for more? I hope you got room for more, because I got some more podcasts to rip for you guys. Episode 10 will be day 9, November 8th. Oh, that's a mouthful. Let's get into people to make this possible. We're going to get into the show. This series is powered by Exodus Trail Cameras, Exodus Outdoor Gear. If you're in the market for a new cell cam, don't forget about that Black Friday sale that's coming out. Start saving a little bit each check now, and by Black Friday, you have enough money to hit that sale the first hour that it's open. Make sure and secure the bag and have a brand new cell cam with a 5-year warranty with the best data plan on the market. All right. Quick shout out to the other people that believed in this podcast a long time. Scott and Nate from Next Level Deer Supplements. Tony from 330 Archery. They've been the long haul guys. And Afflicted Broadhead starting this year. They've been real good to us as well. So, big shout out to them for supporting the podcast. Big shout out to you guys for supporting the podcast for all these years. But getting into what happened today. So I went to the Park Pinch. This is a spot where it is a subdivision that pinches them in, an old park that's there. The park closes November 1st. It's a real old park anyways, but it closes November 1st. No one can go back there. They close the gate, and I have to walk in down the road there. But went there. There's also 2 trees that fell down, and I cut some shooting lanes, and I stacked the trees up with those trees that fell down. And it pinches the deer down to about 15 yards. It works really, really good as a pinch. There's a bunch of really low, high stem count stuff that blocks the road really good. So these deer are not afraid to get really, really close to that road with those houses, 200 yards away, 250 yards away. So I went in there this morning. First buck through the pinch was the buck that's the cover art, the flyer buck. We had him last year as he's either a 2 or 3 year old this year. We had him last year, and he looked exactly the same almost, just smaller and a little bit shorter flyer, but he's a 4-point on one side and then 3-point on the other, but his G2 goes straight sideways, and his main beam kind of goes straight up instead of going out regular. Hang on one second, getting a drink. Shout out to Liquid IV as well. They need to sponsor the podcast, sponsor Joe Rogan's. Anyways, I've been using that. I realized the first couple days when you're out there sitting in the stands for so long, you don't drink near as much as you normally do water-wise. You just taking sips every now and then. You're trying to conserve the water because you don't want to pack in 3 bottles of water. So I was drinking about 16 ounces of water a day, and that's not enough So I was like, I got to do something. So started hitting the liquid IV. If I get dehydrated, man, I get messed up bad. So it's something I really have to keep an eye on. So I've been drinking that. It's delicious. Got the pina colada. It's been helping me out. But anyways, getting back to the second deer was, let's see, a second deer. I can't remember. So many deer today. Deer movement was at an 8.5 for deer movement, but movement for big deer was very low. But I seen 6 different bucks throughout the whole entire day. 7 if you include a button buck. So second buck was a fork and horn. Third buck was a 8-point. This heavy mast, tight in between the ears, really short. Like imagine a fork and horn that's an 8-point with a lot of mass. That's what we're looking at. And then the 8-point that was a cover art a couple podcast episodes ago when I was at the Urban Piece, he came through there. And then 2 does that morning. So I seen 4 bucks, 2 does in the morning. And the bucks, 1 buck was chasing does. And the other ones were just all cruising, but all but 1 deer went by at about 8 yards working that pinch. So they were right there. I did a hanging hunt there, and none of them acknowledged that I was even there or alive. They all just worked right through. I almost shot a doe. I had a doe work the other way, a nice big doe, lone doe. I made sure she fed for a long time. There was nothing behind her. She was standing there about 5-6 yards. I was just like, oh, man. This would be a sweet one, but I wanted to hunt all day, so I ended up not doing that. So I did end up setting all day. About 1 o'clock, I seen a doe, lone doe. She went and bedded over in a little pocket corner, and she came out of that bed in the evening. But then about right at 2, I seen a button buck swing by, and he came right by the stand, went right downwind, just, silly. They can only get there's only 10 or 15 yards of timber before the road there. So, and there's probably, another 20-yard buffer of grass. But he was in between me and the road there, which is pretty tight, working through the thick stuff. He went in there and bed down. Then about 2:15, I had the flyer buck come back through. And I was pretty jacked. I could hear something, and it's a time of the year where you can hear something coming, and you're like, okay, that's a deer for sure. Like, you've been listening to the squirrels for a month now, so you got a good idea what they sound like, and you're like, okay, that's a deer. And he's coming through the thick stuff, picks his head up, boom, it's the flyer buck again. I'm like, man. Anyways, he works off to about 45 yards in beds, and this is really a really cool thing to watch. He bed there, and I could see him. He was behind a bunch of thick stuff, but I could see him without the binos. With the binos, pretty good. I did get some footage of him bedded there. And then about every 25, 30 minutes, he would get up, walk that doe bedding area, do a big circle, and come back to that bed and bed down. And he was literally just so wore out from running all morning. I think he was just trying to bed, but he was so mad that he couldn't find a doe. It wanted to breed so bad that he kept just cruising that doe bedding and then go back in bed. He did it 3 times where I look over there, he's standing up, he shakes, and he rolls out, then he's coming back in. And every time he comes back in, I'm like, oh, something coming, and it's that buck again. And then he'd go out. I'm like, all right. And then, something coming about 20 minutes later, it's a buck again. And he'd work right back to that same bed and bed down. He did that 3 times. And then about 3 o'clock, over on the neighbor's draw, probably 150 yards away. I've been trying to get a hold of this neighbor for weeks. Nobody hunts it. It's a small piece. And I'm just like, man, if I could get in there, I could be more in the game, But anyways, off the park, here comes 3 does just hauling the mail. And I'm like, okay, there's something chasing them. Here comes a half rack chasing them. I'm like, oh my gosh, come on. So the half rack chases them. The flyer buck hears all the commotion, and he stands up. He goes over there. By the time he gets over to where they are, they're gone. And this deer is so mad. I watched him do a tree rub on a 2-finger thick sized tree, and he's just trashing that thing over there, grunting, shaking the tree, trashing it, And I looked over there, and all the bark was gone. He shredded that thing, had it bent over. Just really, really frustrated that he couldn't find a doe. And then he cruised off where those other does come from. And then I had a lone doe working there late. And I don't know if she was with that other 3-pack of does or not, but she worked in, then she circled back out to the park. Then I had a pretty good frame deer, not a shooter, and I'm trying to bino them, and they're probably 150 yards away. And there's the gazebos and the thing that the kids get around and spin around in circles and a swing set and teeter-tot. This is an old school, like, metal playground, like 80s, 70s style. And probably nobody uses it. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm, like, trying to glass, and I'm like, gazebo's in the way. Swings are in the way. The spinny thing that the kids ride on, around the circles, it's in the way. And I'm like, I've never had to glass deer, and this buck was just chasing does all over this park. It's the craziest thing ever. Then they worked into the timber. I got a good look at him. Just a basket 8-pointer, out to his ears though, decent 8-pointer. They cruise off. Here comes the flyer buck back. He's doing another circle. He goes back, and he finally catches up with the buck that's chasing that doe, and then he takes off with that party, so he finally found a doe to chase. I was kind of rooting for the guy, man. I was feeling bad for him. He's out there just struggle busting worse than I am. Then getting closer to dark, I had a good deer out in that park chasing does, and there's a bunch of oak trees in between, and I'm just catching him in between limbs and stuff, and I can see that he's got a good frame. It looked like there was 2, 3, 4 does out there. I couldn't really tell. They were all running around. I was just catching glimpses of legs and trying to get it in between the limbs of the oak branches and around the playground equipment. And they were out there running around like crazy. And there's houses 300 yards from there, wide open shot, 200 yards. And the very last light, I had a doe come through. And pop the fence and go right out to that park. So, ton of movement, just an absolute crap load of movement. Every deer that came through in the morning came from the east, and they all went west. And then every deer that was there in the evening was already west, working there, that big draw that's right on the property line and the neighbors. So I'm going to keep doing my homework and try to get that neighbor's piece. It's very, like I said, it's under 10 acres, but it would be really nice to be able to go another 100 yards that way and get a little more in the game. But it was an awesome hunt. I did set all day, 12 hours. Or no, let me see. No, 11 hours and like 30 minutes probably with the hours switching now. And let's just talk about daylight savings time. Who in the world even likes that? It's a disaster for deer hunters. I got to wake up early as hell. So tomorrow I'm thinking of 2 things. We got straight east wind. So I'm going to make an Instagram post here so you guys hopefully already voted on it. But I'm going to let you guys decide. Let my cameras decide as well. If something pops up on cam, I'll make a move. But do I go pinch point or doe bedding? A doe bedding area that I haven't been in. It's pretty small. I think there's only about 3 or 4 does that are in there. But I can get in there. Haven't hunted it yet. I am going in there to hang and hunt in the dark, though. So that's always a challenge with shooting lanes and stuff. We'll have to see what I want to do. Or I could go to the pinch point that has had bucks use it in the past forever. It's just a good pinch point on Bootertown. I looked at past trail cam data. Had a shooter in there on the 10th, 11th, and 12th last year. 10th and 11th in daylight. Had a shooter on the other side of the pinch the 7th, in daylight, and a couple edging on the 8th that possibly could have been in daylight. It's just not on the camera. So they were east of that camera, and that's which way the wind's blowing, but most of them work that pinch, the main pinch of the farm, and that's where I would be. I think I'm going to do a morning break and then come back in and hunt the evening. I would like to shoot a doe tomorrow. Boys are wanting to track a deer. I need to get some does off that other piece, so I might bass a doe in the morning. That's why I'm kind of weighing towards the doe bedding, but I'm going to let you guys decide, like I said, which way I go. But that's the plan for then. Tomorrow evening, if it's straight east, I'm going to go to the Frank pinch. That deer that, if you remember earlier in the season, I was hunting Frank. JoJo is also using that pinch. But I'm going to go to the Frank pinch and hunt that, be right on the ag, but be east wind, blow me over to a lake and see what's popping over there. I got a cam over there I can pull and see what's happening. But I think I'm going to give the east side of the farm some love with that east wind. But, man, that east wind on Kings, it's a perfect setup to get up in that cedar tree, and you can see a lot of real estate in the morning. So that's weighing hard on me to get in there as well. It's just a perfect spot for an east wind, and that's something that we're not going to have for a while now after this week. So that cold weather is going to come snapping in hard. Looks like we got a couple days of warm, and then it's going to hit hard and be cold. I'm going to be podcasting with you guys to the 15th. That'll be the first day I go back to work, so that'll be the last podcast that I release. But that's the plan. I'll let you guys, hopefully you guys pick right. Let me know where to go. My wife's looking at me like she knows what's going on. She has no idea. I got out of the stand. I said, I need some Tylenol. She's like, Tylenol? I'm getting old, man. It feels setting all out there all day. That is rough. It's rough on a guy. But I didn't even eat all my snacks. I don't know. It was a good day. Good all-around day. Cannot be upset with seeing that many deer November 7th. Just no shooter bucks, man. There's 4 shooters in Watauga that I know at the Urban Peace. So it would be decent if I seen one of them, but nothing happened. So hopefully tomorrow is a new day. In the morning I'll be going in. It's close to the JoJo pinch, so maybe I'll see JoJo, maybe I'll see Frank, maybe I'll see the 11-pointer. You never know what's going to go through there, but I have no cams in that area. I just know that it's doe bedding from scouting and from bumping does in there in the summer, and there was some old rubs and scrapes in there when I fall scouted it, but I've been kind of leaving it alone because you can only hunt it on an east, so, and that's what we got. So I might go give that a shot. All right, guys, appreciate you tuning in all the way to the end. Tomorrow I'm going to get a guy on to see how his rut's going. I've been getting home, and I painted a wall yesterday. Today my daughter had carrots for the first time for supper, her first food, so I've been doing stuff after I got home. So haven't been reaching out to anybody to have them come on the show. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Love you guys. Appreciate all the support out there. Sitting all day, I got a lot of messages about keep grinding, it's going to happen, and all those help me stay motivated to get it done. So I'm going to keep giving her hell out there, guys. Appreciate you. Always try to do the right thing, try to leave a legacy, and White to Legacy is out.